computer. We start with write the video panel. Okay. Write the putting meeting control. About you. પહેલાને હું ચાલુ કરું છું એક સેકન્ડ रुक बिल्कुल यहीं से चालू करो मेरे को यहाँ से नहीं होगा ये उठ friends this is GST series which I have started and it has gone very good and people have benefited a lot by this series and looking to the response, I'm going to continue with this series. And until today, what I've covered is it's so simple. GST. Once the income tax, which is so complicated, and as compared to that, GST is so simple, and you have to go in deep once you started working on it. Okay? And I have seen the way the normal practitioners are doing. The way the normal practitioners are doing, they are not looking at the opportunity which they can convert to the client by just going into some deepness, and they can make a value addition in such a way that it's a huge one. Okay. And for that, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything except just reading my judgment, raise the query at this forum. You look at my blog, there are my mobile ID, email ID, nitinpathak@gmail.com. There are my mobile number. You can contact me. Through that, I will solve the problem. I'm going to continue these lectures on 27th also. There are 100 judgment, and which is sequel, which is running. All the presentation is available in YouTube. This presentation is available on PPT form also. And any question, you are most welcome to do this. MSME circular is also available. And as soon as the budget comes, I'll look into it. And I'm very passionate about Dhoni. The way he's 42. And plus the way he's playing cricket. Age is not a problem. But he's still growing, playing good for the team. The same way, if you look at Kohli, at the time of IPL, they were told that Kohli will not be taken into the team because of the strike rate which he's doing. Now the way he's playing the cricket, that he needs to be taken in World Cup 20. Dhoni, and you look into the Modi Sahab. When you look at the Modi Sahab, when he started 7 months back or 8 months back, he is almost, Maharashtra was not there, Rajasthan was not there, Madhya Pradesh was not there, Jharkhand was not there, Bihar was not there. They were also trouble in Karnataka, they were trouble in Andhra Pradesh, and so forth. But the way he planned, the way he walked, of course, luck is there. Of course, his determination is there. But still, in life, when you walk it with the determination and luck, there are so many things happen in the life. The so is say with the GST. When you start with GST, you may not be knowing how to deal with it. But once you start it will happen. This is 20th. I'm going to continue same on next Saturday. Then again on 4th May. Okay. Past PPT available on blog. Until before this, I have covered 73, 74, rule 142A in my last lectures. In this case, because of this DRC1, DRC3, DRC4, everything is covered there. And you can use it for the purpose of that. Okay. Then there are when ITC will not be available, when ITC is cancelled, and what are the proof? There are so many notices are issued because they say that you have purchased the goods whose number is cancelled. Okay, but that will not work here. Attachment of the properties, whose property can be attached, whose property cannot be attached. Rule 83, 84. Rule 122.1. Many times you think that you are liable to have your property attached, but it is not so. You can revoke your cancel number at any time. There is no time limit for that. A gift coupon, pre-coupon, pre-vouchers are considered as a sales. ITC sometimes is disallowed, and it's on the basis of somebody information which they have it. That this is your dummy goods, but if you prove that I've paid, make the payment, it was in 2A, 3B, 2C, he has paid the tax, he was there when I bought it there, and you purchase the goods or services, then you have supplied it in your business. In that case, though, and you have e-way bill, every record is there, then there is no problem that it cannot be solid. There are certain cases in which there is a power of arrest, power of bailable warrant, power of inquiry without showing the reason. These are there. Sometimes the department cannot misuse this if you know the provisions, or it can be beneficial to you. When you make an appeal, and in one of the cases the appeal was there, and they've added certain points during the appellate stage. But what law says, and cross appeal is also not allowed, as in the income tax case. E-way bill there is some error in e-way bill, but there is no intention to evade the bill. It cannot be that. The refund claim, why unit wise, these are the cases I have covered. In this talk, today, import-export of services, which is BPO, KPO, and you are buying the goods, you get a credit or not for the when you have a ITC, whether you can claim a refund or not. There are online gaming, section 14. How do you need to file a return? These are the judgment we have covered. And in import-export, I have gone in so much details that once you go through that, in the case of import-output credit, you will be able to go through the whole issue of that. And now, once you go through this, your clarity would be so at high level that you will be able to create a document that you are coming in at section 2.6, not under section 2.13, call an intermediary. There is a circular which I have discussed, online gaming, LUT, which I have discussed. Now, because what is intermediary and what is export of service? For that purpose, I give you two examples. Okay, two case studies we have taken. Then I will go to section, then I will go to circular, then judgment. Then anyone who has an issue, you can call on me. And there are processes which I have explained on the payment of LUT, or on the business of LUT, or on the business of export. And what are the documents you need to submit? And when it is called SCZ, what is called output service. These are all details I have covered in these slides. Okay. So the case study number 1. ABC, an importer in USA, and XYZ is in India. XYZ has been given an assignment to procure the goods and send it to him as an import. Okay. What are the services he needs to provide to ABC? He needs to procure the goods. For that, he needs to decide what are the goods available, from where it is available, what is the quality, what are the rate. He would select the vendor. He will go to the manufacturer and produce the goods sampling. He would monitor the quality of goods produced. He will check the sample. He would supervise. He will send it to logistic, and he will send it to there. Till then, he would do the thing. And on the date of export, you export to that. On the basis of FOB, he get a 5% commission. So whether it would be considered as an intermediary or it be considered under Section 26 of export of services. What they say is it is intermediary is defined, and there is a definition remuneration of services for the service rendered to foreign clients on the basis of free of board. The value is fall within the intermediary export services. It's called principal to principal basis. Okay. So here there are two things: place of supply. What is the place of supply? And location of supply. Location of supply is in India. Place of supply outside India. He is getting the goods, and it is called P2P. He is not an intermediary because AB XYZ has to decide not only is an intermediary. Intermediary means he just introduce A and B, and he just go out. He just doesn't go into picture. Here in seek in XYZ, he not only procure good, but it's a P2P business. There were other case of EY, which I have discussed in detail. I have given the whole judgment, not only judgment, but also facts of the case as explained. So once you go through that, you will be having a lot of clarity what is called intermediary and what is called export. The same way is reverse is also true. Somebody is providing, suppose Indian University is enrolling through somebody, say Sudan. You come in India and study. They will give the university all these details. That is called import of service. Okay. And it would be liable for online services. It would be coming under like this. Import of service is liable for tax. Indian service provider ABC, University Counseling for XYZ. ABC is in India. He is doing a consultancy for XYZ Canada. What he does, he gathers, he goes in the market with the student. He explains them these are the type of courses which is done in USA, in Canada. For that, he gives the paper for study. He gives the counseling. He gives so many advices what he needs to do. He also helps them to see the parameters of the Canadian university, Canadian visa, everything. And then on the basis of that, he does. So it's almost like a career counseling. So it will be considered as export of service and not an intermediary. What is an export of service? Export of service means the supplier of service is located in India. In case of what we have discussed in XYZ is in India. Okay. The recipient of services is outside India. The person who is importing the goods from exporting the goods from India and importing goods there is called XYZ. Okay. So here supplier is in India, recipient is abroad. The place of supply. This GST is on consumption basis. So what is my consumption? The last stage would pay the GST. So where the goods go? User destination. Destination is outside India. The place of supply is outside India. The payment of such service is received in foreign currency note. Foreign currency. Okay. There is one judgment which I have covered is somebody is receiving the payment through PayPal. Then also it would be considered as the export of services. The supplier of service and receiver of service are not merely established of distinct, but in accordance with expression 1 in section 8. Expression 1 in section 8, intra-supply, which means established in India. What is that fifth point? The supplier of service and receiver of service not merely established distinct in accordance with expression 1 to 8. So an establishment in India, what do you mean by intra-supply? Means it would be considered within the state. Intra-supply means you are within the state to state. So when you are exporting the goods and you are paying LUT or you pay advance this thing, it could come under IGST, not under SNC. So that is called intrastate. In case of export would be considered as IGST. An establishment in India, outside India, an establishment in a state or territory, in a union territory, another establishment outside union territory, an establishment in a state or union territory, and any other university in other states. So one is in Gujarat, one is outside Gujarat. One is Gujarat or Diu Daman, two other places, and this is the third one. Now I am going into intermediary. Intermediary means Intermediary means he just introduced. Suppose broker. Suppose broker says this is a house, you go and buy it. But if he goes and show the house, he gives the different option, he helps him to go there, he collects that key and everything, then it is not a part of intermediary. Here P2P was that. Broker means he just said, go and buy this goods. That's all. He doesn't provide any extra services. He doesn't go like Uber. Uber is a different thing, but Uber commands an online game service. Like online services. Intermediary means, and in that case, though Uber is not in India, he has to pay GST. A broker or an agent or any other person by whatever name called. He is broker, an agent, or any other name. Any person, either is a broker or agent, combination of that, by whatever name called, who arranges and facilitates. Like he said that you arrange that thing. He said this is the place you have the key and see the house and facilitate the supply of goods or services between two or more persons. So there would be three persons, A, B, and the facilitator, but does not include a supply who are both, but does not include a person who supplies such goods on his own or services. Both are security on his own account, means P2P basis. Okay. So if somebody, there is a circular also. Now I'm going into circular of this. However, where the person is providing services or supplies on his own account to his customer, it cannot be termed as intermediary in accordance with the provision of Section 230. The word arranges that facilitates the supply of goods or services, both between two or more persons, is the crux of the definition of intermediary. The Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs has clarified the scope of intermediary via Circular number 15915 2021 GST established provision of this thing. The circular provided for some prerequisite for scope of intermediary. They have gone in details to see that whether it is intermediary or not. Minimum, there are three parties. Intermediary does not carry on main supply, but arranges facilitates the main supply of goods within two or more persons. The arrangement requires a minimum 3%, two of them transacting in the main supply of goods and one arranging or facilitating the main supply and activity between two parties, therefore not to be considered as an intermediary. Okay? There should be minimum three parties. In case of intermediary, two distinct types of supply, main supply and ancillary supply. Main supply means goods are sold between two persons which can supply and main goods and security. Ancillary is the service of facilitating or arrange the main supply of goods between two persons. This supply is identifiable and distributable from the main supply, and supply is called intermediary. He is supplying goods. Suppose I am providing a services to some country abroad. I am filing a return. So I am doing a P2P. Suppose somebody comes and introduces that you just file a return of ABC, then he is called auxiliary. But he provides some logistic, then also coming under the facilitation facility. But he goes beyond that, then it will be considered as main supply, P2P. I have given n number of judgment to make a clarity what is intermediary, what is an export of service, and how LUTs need to be filed, and whether you will be entitled for export of goods. For that, you have purchased some material, whether you are entitled for refund or not. The same way with SEZ and SEZ developer also. So these are the things I have covered, and this PPT will put it in a blog so that you can use it for a very, very long time. So it's like a Bible for this case. Intermediary service provider to have a character of an agent or broker or other similar person. The act itself defines the intermediary as a broker or agent or other person facilitating the arranging the services. The word means the definition is not inclusive, but arranging indicates the intermediary support services. It doesn't include that, but there are so many things which can be covered. Here, there are three things. I think I missed someone. Okay. Okay? And I'm here. As per circular, as per place of supply, which I have gone into detail, in the case of export, remember outside India, the place of service is outside India, or recipient is outside India. The place of supply of services where location of a supplier or location of precision is outside India. This section 13 applies to the following services. Section 32(1), which I have gone into detail, but here I have shown for the purpose of intermediary. Intermediary would be considered as supply in India. Hence, when you are intermediary, you have to pay GST. If you are outside India, it would be considered as export of services. I'm going into detail in section 13. I have explained in detail. So there are two options which I have already covered. Export without payment of tax, that is the requirement of bond and LUT. And GST law provides an option to export without payment of tax. In such case, no taxes will be charged on export. And exporter claim refund on the taxes paid for input and input services. From the document perspective, the invoice needs to carry a specific declaration that the goods or services being exported without payment of GST. In addition to this, a bond or LLT needs to be furnished by the exporter. Though furnishing such bond or LUT was a common practice in erstwhile excess regime for manufacturers, the same has become a big administrative challenge for export by traders and service providers. Nowadays in GST, I don't think it is very tough because I'm handling export or refund as well as this thing, and it has gone very smoothly also. So it's not that it has become so clumsy. Now the department is like I have claimed the refund as well as both. So in case of export, you don't pay tax, you just consider LUT, and whatever input you have used for the purpose of export, you just claim this tax, and they will issue a refund. There is a process which I will also discuss in detail later on. In case you choose to pay GST, you pay GST, and this is also another option is to provide a GST law is to export. For that, there is a process which is explained. Is also laid down in my talk. Another option provided by GST law is to export on payment of IGST, for which rebate or refund tax is paid or output, which can be claimed. In such case, the invoices need to mention goods or services being exported on payment of IGST, and there is no requirement of bond. Though the exporter faces a working capital issue, as tax needs to be paid on export turnover for export of goods, at least refund has been allowed in case of shipping bill fine. Akin to drawback. However, this for services refund claim needs to be filled separately. In such case, refund at the department are dependent on filing GST return. Hence, the exporter are facing challenge. But once you file this thing, which I was also explained, as your document is filed by the custom department at the stage of export, and when it is submitted and you file the return, the refund would be getting. The refund would be issued. In case of SEZ and SEZ developer, for goods and services, for goods, once the goods are received, there is a specified officer who certifies. Case of goods and services, the same would be available. In case of export, custom department. Okay. So in all the cases, mechanism is same. Pay tax, get refund. Don't pay tax, LUT, and get your tax credit. This is a case which I already discussed in similar case. In case this is a case of old regime. Okay. In SNQS, International Stocks Private Limited versus Central Excise, the commission received 5% commission received on FOB, whether it would be considered as business or commerce versus intermediary or support of services. Okay. Procurement of goods, procurement of orders from foreign buyers for export of goods to them by Indian exporter, vendor taxability or remuneration received in convertible foreign exchange from such buyer as a percentage of FOB value of exported goods during the period from 1/10/2024 to 2014. So before, as soon as this, before this GST regime, with effect from which the definition of intermediary has been changed as Rule 2F, place of provision of rules were amended whether the services were taxable of support service or business commerce, whether it would be considered as intermediary or support of service or business commerce as claimed by the respondent. What was the function done by the things? He is not only facilitator, but he select the vendor, monitor the quality, design and live testing, carrying on various other quality checks till the final dispatch. And the above measure is not only selling a purchase of goods, but it's in a bucket of services. Hence, it will be considered as P2P services, P2P basis, and it will not be considered intermediary, but it will be considered as export of services. Neither there was any oral or written agreement. There was no agreement between those who are supply goods. He was not charging any commission. There oral or written agreement between the SSC and the vendor for export of goods, where they had not received any consideration in relation to export of goods. Sixth, in impact order had held that merely that remuneration for aforesaid service were computed on the basis of FOB value of exported, the same would not be make any intermediary. The appeal filed against such impact order were to be dismissed by holding the aforesaid services would neither fall within the ambit of business of services nor business support on intermediary services. So now I said that I would explain in detail the place of supply services with the location, whether it will be location or location of the supplier or location of recipient, even it is outside India. The provision of this shall apply to determine the place of these are the rules provided in 13.1 to 13.13. Okay, these are special rules. Other than that, it will be always considered on the basis of destination. The provision of these sections shall apply to determine the place of supply, where the location of supply or location of services will be. The place of supply is where shall be the location of recipient. Generally, it will be the location of supply or location of recipient. These are the places where, except this will be considered as location of supply, recipient of services. So what is the crux of GST? GST would be only always on the basis of last recipient, consumption basis. So last recipient would pay the tax. Okay, but the following are the exception and would be considered for the purpose of whether it is outside India or not. Let me go one by one. The place of supply of the following services is the location where the services are actually performed. Suppose I have a car, so I have my mobile, so I myself, say rental services are provided through automatic, through the remote. These are the things. There are control panel which is being monitored outside India through their robot, and they are taking care, say for example, nuclear plant and every other thing. In that case, it would be the place where the control panel is located, which are being used, which are being monitored remotely and operated by them. So let me start one by one. I have given you, suppose my car is repairing in India, which is, let me read it, then come back. The place of supply of service, the following shall be treated as the place where the services are actually performed. Services supplied in respect of goods which are required to be physically available by the recipient of the service, which would be made available by the recipient. Says, I am receiving the services to the supplier of services. I need a services. I go to Maruti क्या बोलते हैं Maruti car repair services place. The services supplied in respect of which are required to be physically available by the recipient of services to the supplier of services or to a person acting on behalf. Suppose I have my mobile to be repaired. I go to a Vodafone service provider or Nokia. Nokia will give it turn into someone else. That would be called the agent who supplies the goods. The place where the mobile is a place where the place of supply is there, and it will be taxable at that place. Okay. Provided that when such as a provided remote location by electronic means, the place of the location of goods are situated at the time of supply. My mobile is there. Provided that nothing contained in this section will apply when the goods are coming into India for the purpose of repairing only. That is provided that services supplied to an individual represented either as a recipient of service or a person acting on behalf of the recipient, which requires physical presence of the recipient of the or the person acting on this behalf with the supplier of service. Services supplied to an individual represented either as a recipient of services or a person acting on behalf of which requires physical presence of the goods, the supply of services. It can be through the agent also. So clear there is a goods or services which is required, though remotely, would be the place where the goods are. The place of supply of services directly, indirectly in relation to immovable property. Suppose somebody is abroad, supply the services for the property in India. Suppose I am in the Mondial Heights. My architect is of abroad. What he does, he provides, he collects all the details. On the basis of that, he provides architecture model of the building. In that case, though he is in Germany, this place of supply would be considered in India. Suppose immovable property in Mondial Heights is given on rent, and the person who gives on rent through his portal abroad, and he is getting a customer from abroad for buying the property. Suppose I have one of the customer is in USA. He rents the property in India, and his man is working in India. Then also the place of supply would be in India. Say for example, this online rooms available. The rooms are available at hotel or premises or whatever will be the place of location of supply. The place of supply service supplied directly in relation to immovable property, including service supply with regard to exports, estate agent, supply of accommodation, guest house, club, by whatever name called. Grant of right to use immovable property services carrying outside India or coordination of construction, including that of architect, interior decorator, shall be the place where immovable property is located or intended to be located. The place of supply services supplied by way of admission to an organization. Now, I am talking about, say, the person abroad provides the services for the purpose of admission to an organization or cultural event, artistic, sporting, scientific, education, entertainment event, or a celebration, conference, fair, exhibition, or civil event, or services incident to such admission organization shall be the place where the event is actually organized. So whenever IPL is played, so IPL is telecast everywhere. Or other way around, it is sometimes played in Ahmedabad, sometimes in Chennai. So the place of supply would be when match is played. So the Gujarat government is entitled for this thing. If it is abroad, they would be entitled there only. Okay. The place of supply by way of admission. So this could be applied there also. Okay. Now what they're saying, where the service is referred in 3, 4, 5, is supplied at more than one location, including the location of taxability. Its place of supply shall be location of taxable territory. Okay. When it is where any service is referred in section 3, 4, and 5, supply more than one location, including the taxable, it places the location of taxable service. So I am providing at 2 or more places. Then proportionately, where the service is referred in 3, 4, 5 is supplied more than one state of unity, the place of supply of such service shall be taken as being each respective state of unity, and the value of such supply specific to each territory shall be the proportion of the value of services separately collected or determined in terms of a contract agreement entered into. In the absence of such, as the place may be prescribed. Suppose on the basis of suppose a match is played at 3 places, concert is started at 3 places, then it will be on the basis of proportionate or on the basis of some guess where how much money is received by them, proportionate that. If it is not there, there are some expenses based which will be covered. The place of supply of foreign shall be the location of supplier. Therefore, services supplied by banking company or financial institution or non-banking financial company to account holder. So bank is in India, account holder is in India, then it will be a place of service. So the bank is abroad. He is doing everything automatically. Okay. But the branch is located. It would be the account holder is in India. Intermediary service that we have defined. The intermediary means he is just only a broker or a agent or other way around. He doesn't involve into any commercial P2P basis. He is not a P2P. He doesn't involve in providing service. He is only a facilitator. Then it will be compensated. There will be 3% involved. Services consisting of hiring means transport including yachts but excluding aircraft and vessels within a period of 3 months. Suppose I am hiring a transport vehicle in India, okay, including yachts. Then it would be a service where I get the transport. Further, there is a question account. I am not going to this thing. The place of supply in case of a passenger transportation goods shall be the place where the passenger embarks on conveyance for a continuous journey. So once I am a passenger, I am going from Ahmedabad, Bombay, Beijing. So I am here. So in Ahmedabad would be the place of supply. And if suppose it includes when you're going for a transport and some other facilities orders. So if you're going in a ship, you're going from Bombay to Singapore. And for 3-4 days, you are providing the other services are also provided in ship. It will be a place of Bombay where you embark, not as a place of destination. The place of supply in case of online, the place of supply in case of a location, the place of supply online information on a database or retrieval shall be the place of location of the recipient. I'm again saying these are also covered in my online, specifically on the online business, which I've covered. What is online? What are the rules? And what are the provisions by which? Suppose online gaming is always there. Suppose I am retrieving some data from a portal abroad. Okay. And in that case, I am the recipient, I am the consumer. I'm not a businessman. It's for my personal purpose. Even then, there would be a GST applicable, and the foreign person who is not located in India still have to pay GST through some agent. He has to kept it and he has to use it to pay the tax. The place of supply of online information and database for the place of supply online information and database access or retrieval of services shall be location of the recipient services. So I am going, I'm booking the ticket of hotel abroad, and the portal is charging some fees for using that portal. Then it would be a place where I am the recipient. He has to pay GST on that. For the place of supply of online information and database access or retrieval services shall be location of the recipient. Expression for the purpose of this section, the person receiving such service shall be deemed to be located in the taxable services if any of the two of the person contradictory are satisfied, namely the location of address presented by recipient of service through internet. The location of represented, suppose I am buying a ticket and I say that this is my address. So address mentioned in there. The credit card or debit card or so will be charged from the smart card, which reference service settle the payment. Suppose I am making the payment through credit card, then it will be the place. The billing address of the recipient of service is in taxable service. The billing address of recipient service is in the taxable territory. The internet protocol address of the device used by the recipient of service is in taxable territory. The internet protocol address of the device. Suppose I am using my laptop, I am using my mobile, and my mobile it is there in the territory in which my mobile is, my IP address is there, would be the place for the purpose of considering the location of supply. The bank through which I make a payment, the country code when I subscribe I am mentioning, and the fixed line which I am using. These are the rules by which you fix the place of supply would be the place either of these two which would determine this. And there are certain laws can be framed for the purpose of online these things to avoid double taxation. So place of supply is very important. Now I am going to do judgment one by one. First, how I started. I started with an example showing whether it is an export of service or whether it is intermediary. And I have gone into the whole circular. Then I have explained the judgment. Then I have explained section 13 in detail so that the place of supply is determined on the basis of section. Now I am going into the different judgment. And on the basis of judgment, you will be able to determine how they are distribution between one and things, P2P and intermediary. Okay. So there are 10-15 judgment. I'm going for GoDaddy judgment. GoDaddy versus India versus web services. In the case of the Delhi DDA, service provided that the parent company are not intermediary. Well, GoDaddy in that case was an advertising, services were provided by the GoDaddy in India. The applicant were engaged in advising marketing situation prevalent in India, advising marketing staff to GoDaddy USA regarding events, advertisement, displays, supervision, third-party customer care service, and seminar. So he is providing a composite of services, as in the case of export, as in the case of career counseling. Hence, it will not be considered as intermediary. In the case of what's global, Textmin, the Maharashtra authority held that back office support service provided by the two overseas client are intermediary services, as the applicant is only arranging or facilitating the main supply and not providing goods to the clients. Okay. Thus, these services are taxable in India. Here, in Verso Global, what are they doing? They were providing the table space and everything. They are not doing anything else. Back office support. But they are not doing their actual work, which was done in the case of another things. The previous slide presentation. They were giving a marketing seminar and they were giving different, it was P2P. Thus, these services are taxable in India. In both the cases, the nature of services provided were different. In the book is the scope including arranging or liaisoning the supporting services. But in the case of previous slide, they only provided the relating to marketing and like brand promotion. Under the current GST regime, the agreement between the parties have paramount importance with respect to payment of taxes. It is now essential for the party members and providing the services to their parent companies or overseas P2P basis to ensure that the agreement contract ended clearly to describe the nature of services. This is the case of AR Tosniwala brothers. Here that the promotion of other product qualifies as intermediary sale. However, AR and Thomas Gisley held that the management considered services does not in any way consider as an arrangement of facility. It is called supply of goods and services. Okay. For that, there are a number of judgments which I have covered here. I am just mentioned for the purpose of your brevity. But now I am going into different judgments. In case of McAfee Software Limited, in the question of ARFL, if marketing supports were provided by the company to its holding company outside the taxable territory, would qualify as intermediary. Here found that the appellant provided the service of facilitating selling, market, and distribution, and hence acted as intermediary. Here held that though the appellant were not a broker or agent, but fall within the ambit of any other person. So they are the same company. They're holding a subsidiary company. They are considered as as intermediary, liable for tax. However, Maharashtra government, so there are so many ITS, ITMS, these are some dicey issues coming up. Government has come with a circular. So what in Mota, big is BPO and KPO is covered as export of services. And you are entitled for refund for the same. Export, when you LUT, you buy, you have LUT, and whatever service you provide, you can claim the refund also. If you pay tax, there is a provision by which your customs documents are already submitted or SCs are not there, you will be entitled for refund. However, the Maharashtra in AR Ashi KC India Limited 101 Taxman 269 held that sales promotion and marketing services would fall within the ambit of other supply and market would not be qualified as an intermediary. The ruling of ASI seems to be more in line with the circular issue. If the service can be attributed to have been concluded between two principles, it should not be classified as intermediary. Further, distinction between main supply and ancillary supply should be demarcated, having a broader view to main supply and restricting the scope of supply. Now, this is a case of these are Supreme High Court judgment now. Until today, we have gone into this thing. In Materials Recycling Association versus Union of India, in Gujarat, court held that the provision of Section 13(8)(b), Red B Section 230 is not ultra-vires. There was a petition filed that this provision is ultra-vires, which I am going to discuss in Dharmesh Jain, where why court has gone into considered. Ultimately, they concluded that it is not ultra-vires, but they were on the verge of concluding. And why they have concluded that? What was the argument of the Dharmesh Jain, which I am explaining you in the next slide. The intermediary service in cross-border transactions will be liable to GST and SGST. Such intermediary service will not be considered an export. In the case of Global Research Education Service Private Limited, West Bengal, and the place of supply in case of intermediary service should be determined as per the provision and not as per the provision of Section 13(2) and 13(b). Export of service intermediary circular 107 Section 13(2). The agreement is important. Function you undertake is important. Document need to be kept is also mentioned in the last slide. So P2P, not an intermediary. Intermediary means either you are a broker or an agent. And what are the agreement or documentation where you are only a supplier, you don't have a power to determine. You don't determine, then it will be considered as intermediary. AMD, India Private Limited, the appellant was a subsidiary of holding company and providing service to same under the mass agreement. But the MSA did not provide the appellant would facilitate and arrange the purchase of sale of goods or holding company. Such service would not be followed the purchase or ambit of intermediary, because the document are such where the services of goods or supply or services are required. In that case, it will not be considered intermediary. The divergent ruling of various authorities have a repercussion on the basis of ITSS and ITSC. For that, the circular is made available, and BPO and KPO would be considered as export of service, not an intermediary. Now you go into Dharmendra M. Jani versus University of Gujarat High Court. They have gone into so much in detail that you will have a clarity on that. The petitioners challenge the constitutional validity of Section 13(8) and Section 8(2). What is the argument that it is not valid? The petitioner submitted that Section 30 is contrary to the fundamental principle of GST being a destination base and consumption tax. Wherever you supply the goods, it will be considered export of services. It was further submitted there were several services provided like marketing, agent, consultant, professional advisor who offer similar services, but services offered by them are treated as export. Hence, the exception under section 13(8)(b), which exempt intermediary from the definition of export, is unreasonable and arbitrary and violates the provision of Article 14. So now you need to understand that there is a very thin line difference between 13(8)(b) and export. Right? Those circular that, but still it remains an IT issue. So that's why Dharmendra M. Jani says, advocate 13(8)(b) should be removed. And unconstitutional and ultimate. It was argued that Article 246 read with Article 269A and 286 does not permit imposition of tax on export services out of territory by treating the same as local supply. Hence, the provision of provisions are ultra vires under Section 246 and 269 of the Constitution. Petitioner further submitted that 13(8)(b) is ultra vires charging section of not only under section, but should be under what he said, it's not under I, but it should come under C and S. It was argued that IGST provides levy of tax on interstate supply. What they're saying, 13(8)(b), when you are exporting good, it will come under I. It was argued that IGST provides levy of tax on interstate supply only on certain runs contrary to interstate supply. The recognition of such supply as intrastate further to contravene the CGSTS when the levy of goods cannot extend to cross-border transactions. Lastly, it was avowed that this categorization leads to a double taxation, as the same supply would be taxed at the hands of the intermediary and following on the destination basis. So he said that it would be double taxation in case of intermediary. Hence, but court concluded like that. Now I am going into ENY. What is ENY is a very huge judgment, but let me cover it today, because then there are a lot of slides which I will not be able to conclude. What is the muta? Let me explain you in a big way. ENY is established as a branch office, well, as per FEMA. Its only branch office, its entity would be ENY UK. Okay, and ENY UK concluded a contract with ENY US, Australia, and USA and other countries. They were providing services from India. What are the services provided? Audit, filing return, search report, survey report. There are a lot of data collected, and there was an agreement between these two companies where whose record would be kept by whom, who would be the entitled for that, what are the papers received by whom, who will be taken care. So these are not only agreement between these two, and the fees were decided on at arm's length price on the basis of that only. The petition in Indian branch of ENY filed the petition urging 1522 hereafter for pass an additional commissioner. This is appeal files. Yes, there are a lot of things are done. It is called P2P, and they were written that this is an export of service as is provided. So I have covered in my slide, because ENY is India is a supplier, ENY abroad, USA is the recipient of services, foreign exchange services are received, and on the basis of P2P service. Hence, it is considered as export of services, not an intermediary. Okay, but let me give you an example in detail. I am in ENY. I've covered this slide. I will explain you in detail. Now, I don't think I need to go in detail further. There are agreement is also shown. Export prior to rollout of GST. Intermediary means broker or an agent or other person by whatever facility ENY Global. But this is not covered. Supplier of service EY. The receiver is GK, the place of service is outside India, the payment of service in India. Hence, I have explained this already detailed. What are the documents you need to keep? Following documents shall be maintained for a minimum period of 5 years. In the case of export of services, copy of bill of lading, Copy of executed document between supplier and the buyer or seller and the receiver. Copy of commission or debit note raised by an intermediary service provider in taxable territory from services recipient located in non-taxable territory. Copy of certificate of origin issued by the service recipient located in non-taxable territory. Declaration of letter from intermediary services provider in taxable on the company letterhead confirming that commission debit note raised led to contract of supply. The GST, the said exemption is effective from 1st October. So the certificate was issued by the service recipient located in non-taxable territory. So I am supplying goods to, or I am receiving the services of UK. The supplier would say that I am the location, क्या बोलते हैं? Issue of origin. The declaration letter from intermediary service provider that in taxable territory on the company letterhead confirming that commission debit note is related to contract between supplier and goods. So these are the contract you need to keep: bill of lading, copy of executed documents, certificate of origin, intermediary service provided. These are the documents you need to keep it for your intrastate. I have given what the definition of intrastate here. Okay, let me give another 5 minutes for that. Let me subject to the provision of section 10. Subject to the provision of section 10, point of service in case of supply of goods where the location of supplier and the place of supply in the same state or same unity shall be considered as intrastate. Provided that the following supply shall not be treated as intrastate when it is supplied to goods, supply of goods from or to SEZ or as the developer, when goods are imported till it's crossed a boundary, and supply made to tourists. So what is intrastate? Goods sell within the state. Okay. Subject to intrastate part 2, section 2. Subject to the provision of section 12, the place of supply service where the location of supply is in India. Supply of services where the location of supply is treated as same state shall be treated as intrastate supply. Provided further that intrastate supply or service shall not be include supply of services to SEZ or SEZ developer and established in India to any other establishment established in the state of unity to any other, then such establishment shall not be considered as distinct supply. The person carrying a business through branch or agency will not be considered. Now, this is one judgment I am covering last and then I will conclude because this is a very important judgment. What has been done in this case? They were supplying, let me go through the case. They were supplying sunglass. Sunglass they are purchasing and they are selling. And the sunglass were supplying where in when you go to airport, okay, there are certain shops before you enter the custom frontier. So what they're doing, once the visa sikka is done, boarding pass is received. Before boarding, there are some places where the location was there in Delhi airport, and from there somebody were buying the glasses. Okay, whether the glasses were purchased, glasses were sold, and those are sold to only in having an international boarding pass. So what they're saying, as it is outside the custom frontier, would it be considered as export? The export of goods with its grammatical variation, cognate expression called goods out of India. So what they say? Sunglass purchase goods out of India to a place outside India. From that, they have purchased the specs set outside to a place of India. Zero rated supply shall have the same meaning assigned to it in section 16. Hotel Ashok, Indian Tourist Development Corporation Limited versus Assistant Commissioner, CCD, 588, 350, STD, SC. Collector of Custom, Calcutta versus Sunglass Industry, 98%, 139. 198 Explain.com, 598 Supreme Court. What they're saying, that the apex court in the first decision in Hotel Asoka, Indian Tourism Development Corporation, in the context of Karnataka tax and the GST, the duties free stop established at various station interest account. There is a sale directly to customer before clearing the customer. It has been held that duty free stops are deemed to be outside territory of India, and hence the said sales are not taxable in the state. In their second decision, the Apex High Court, in the case of high sales for export, in as much as beyond the territorial waters of India, it is thus argued that the applicant that ratio of Supreme Court decision is applicable to the present case, as the goods are supplied beyond the custom frontier, and the said area is keen to high seas sales. Hence, they are outside India. Let me explain you again. In the case of Ashok Hotel, Bokwa GST, that in duty-free stop established at various services, there is a sale directly to customer before clearing it, and duty-free is deemed to be outside territory. Hence, the said sales are not taxable in this state. They are outside the custom frontier. Hence, it is not a sale within India. In the decision, Apex Court held that IC sales are export sales is as much as it is beyond the territory of India. It is thus argued that applicant that ratio of Supreme Court decision is applicable in the present case. Is keen to high sales. This is decided in Hotel Asoka, Indian Tourism. The authority read out the provision of IGST as under to hold that the duty-free shop in the instant case is situated in the territory of India, and the sales therefrom cannot be taken as duty-free shops are outside the custom frontier, but it is still within the definition of India. Definition of India is mentioned in section 256. So what they're looking for, they're determining export of goods. Export of goods is taking out of India to a place outside India. Goods out of India. Here, goods are not taking out of India to a place outside India. The authority in this case, India ki definition, I'm not going. India means territory of India. Refer to Article 1 of Constituted Territory, waters, sailed waters. Also, during emphasized that the point that the same cannot be considered as a physical export of goods. That will be individual passenger who would take the goods outside India and not the duty-free shop. The advanced authority ruling held the opinion that the goods can be said to be exported only when they cross the airspace limit of the territory or territorial waters of India, and the goods cannot be exported merely on crossing the custom frontier in India. Hence, they have used the definition of India to conclude that the glasses sold at the airport will not be considered as export. I am not going into zero rated. I've covered this in too much in detail, but today I am not going into that. Sir, ODIR, I'll take the next slide. I'm not going into that. Taxability, time of service. With this, I'm concluding today's session. Today's session is on decoding of export and import. I think it will be covered in the next session also. And there are a lot of circulars and notifications going on. You can come and conclude, discuss on forum at gmail.com. Registration would be entitled for here. With this, I'm concluding today's session. Next session would be on 27th, same time, on some judgment, which is continued. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for this. Okay. Dinesh, you want to ask me some question?